Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Theron Pace, and together we're going to rebuild the Knights Templar. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about voting. In my opinion, voting is a sham. It's a way to keep you, the people, placated. It's a way to make you feel like you have a little bit of power, when in reality, they've taken it all from you. You have the illusion of choice, which the powers that be grant to you, and you don't really have a choice. They decide what's going to happen, and you blindly follow. They give you two options, and you pick between the two. That's not really a choice. Furthermore, you very rarely ever get what you want. You end up having to make so many concessions that you don't end up with the society that you want. You don't end up with the laws that you want. You don't end up with the fiscal policies that you want. You end up with more taxes, inevitably, year after year after year. You end up with more regulations, inevitably, year after year after year. You end up with a society that continues to morally degrade and decay year after year after year. And you're given no outlet to rectify this situation, right? Because you can vote until you're blue in the face, but if it's not what the powers that be want, you're not going to get it. Because at the end of the day, at the very top, the president's not elected, they're selected. We have an electoral college, and they say that the electoral college will make decisions based on the way the populace vote, the popular vote. But in many cases, they don't actually have to. They can just make their own decisions. And the biggest factor for them on what decisions they will make is whether or not they can get away with their decisions, whether or not you will revolt. If they're not afraid of you rising up and doing anything about it, they'll just put the people they want in power. Clearly. I mean, it kind of feels like they did that with Biden. And then on other things, like in California, where you can put things on the ballot for the people to vote for, and then the popular vote is actually enacted, and these policies are actually, passed into law, that didn't even really matter anyway. So there have been multiple times in California's history where the people have voted on something. In many cases, 70 or 80% of them voted for something that they wanted, and different groups hired very expensive and fancy lawyers to challenge these laws that were passed by the populace, by much more than 50% of the people, challenged in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court says, yeah, no, we don't care that you guys voted on it. We're not going to give it to you because we have the power. We have the men with the guns. We will do as we please, and you will accept it. And if you don't accept it, we will send men with guns, and you'll be made to accept it. If you don't, we'll slap you with a fine. If you refuse to pay the fine, we'll throw you in a rape cage. You don't like the rape cage? We'll just kill you. Simple enough. That's society we live in. We need something different. That's not a good society, and it continues to get worse and worse. For those that are paying attention, and for those that can pay attention, that are capable of seeing what's really happening, you can see we're on the slow march towards communism. Communism or some form of socialism. One of the two, essentially, they have the same outcome. Massive death and the complete eradication of freedom. So, yeah, you can vote for Trump. We might get him. That there might be enough people, and they might be afraid that there will be a slight revolt if they don't give him to us. He might get in. If he does get in, he's not going to roll back all the changes. We're paying something like 40% in taxes, 40% of our income in taxes. There's so much regulation that it's almost impossible to start a business on your own. Just working a job, working a 9 to 5, even if you're working at a factory, even if you work a trade, it's still going to take you 5-10 years to be able to save up the money needed to start a business. And you can't just start a business. Down in places like Mexico or the Philippines, where they're shithole countries, they can just start selling food out of their garages. They can just start doing stuff. They don't have to ask for permission. Here in America, you try and do that, the men with guns are going to show up at your door and they're going to tell you to stop. If you tell them, no, I'm not going to stop, they're going to throw you in a cage. You tell them, no, I'm not going to that cage. Well, they're men with guns for a reason. They will use those guns. So there's so much regulation, you can't readily break into the market, right? You have to have a lot of capital. Taxes, regulation, the economy. The economy is so screwed. We're $30 trillion in debt. And the annual rate of inflation is insane. You're losing more money year over year, cost of living increase, compared to your average increase in your wages. You're never going to catch up that way. So there's really no realistic way to get ahead that way. Trump's not going to roll all that back. He's not going to fix it. There's too much. There's too many people that are going to work against him. The best he's going to do is he's going to be an ice cube in the boiling pot, right? It's the old analogy of they boil the frog slowly. And if they boil it slowly enough, the frog doesn't jump out. It's an analogy that's talking about revolution. They've been boiling the frog a little bit too quickly lately with the Biden administration. So if they do give us Trump, the only reason they're giving us Trump is so that he can be an ice cube in that boiling pot to keep people from revolting. That's what I think that is. But he's not going to solve our problems. He might make things temporarily slightly better, but things aren't going to be solved. And things can't be solved if you're seeking one man to solve it all for you. The true answer is to organize. You have to organize together, and you have to find a hill, and you have to be willing to fight to the bitter end on that hill. It's the only way to do it. At the end of the day, you have to be willing to draw a line in the sand. If you're not willing to draw a line in the sand, they will continue to take and take and take until there's nothing left for them to take. The other option is Kamala. To tell you the truth, I prefer Kamala because at the very least, Kamala will show everybody that it's going to continue to get worse. Trump will be a delay on what is eventually to come. Kamala will be the fast rail to it. And I don't think people are going to be willing to wake up and do that, which is necessary to save our society, until things get so bad that people are starving in the streets. And I think that's what would eventually happen under continued Democrat rule, because the Democrats are pushing further and further and further towards Marxism. It's clear to see. Trump's not going to stop that. I don't think he has the capability of doing so. I think he can slow it down a little bit, but he's not going to be capable of doing that which is necessary to fix the problem. So I think the only option that we, the little people, have is to organize. We have to get together and we have to protect ourselves. We have to start our own communities that are separate from the greater community. That doesn't mean going off grid, right? We don't have to give up technology. We don't have to give up, all of the things that make life worth living. But we do need to separate ourselves from the system. If we don't separate ourselves from the system, we're going to eventually be consumed by it. That's what I believe is going to happen. That's why I'm wanting to start this group. That's why I'm wanting to recreate the Knights Templar. That's why I'm wanting to start a brotherhood of men who are willing to do that which is necessary in order to ensure our survival. Even when things get real bad. If communism does take over in America, with any luck, we can live out peaceful lives and, just support each other and become prosperous together. You don't need to destroy your enemy in order to prosper yourself. You just need to build. The only times you'll ever need to destroy your enemy is when your enemy comes for you. As long as the enemy doesn't come for you, there's no need to utilize lethal force in acts of self-defense. And with any luck, none of us ever will have to utilize lethal force in acts of self-defense. With any luck, we'll be able to just build our own systems, build our own society, build our own communities, and organize together to create a form of life that we can be proud of. We don't have to try and change their systems. We don't have to destroy their systems. That's not what we have to do. We simply need to build our own. And we need to work with each other and work together to make this happen. That's my thoughts on voting. That's kind of my idea on how things are going. And hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight into what I think and what I'm trying to do. Until next time, Dave's Volt Brothers. Let's make it happen. Oh, and if you want to support me, you can like, subscribe, share this video, and you can donate to my PayPal.